Hi everybody, how are you? Happy Wednesday. I'm going to be confused all week long because it is the holiday week. We just had Labor Day, and so today feels like Tuesday, but it's actually Wednesday. I'm on my way to trying to not put strangers in my video without their permission. Hi everybody, it's Ask Nurse Cindy joining you here live from Houston. Nope, no, I'm not in Houston Hobby. I'm at Dallas Love Field. On my way to Charlotte, North Carolina to get to spend some time with my brother Steve tonight, and then I'm working tomorrow at a hospital there. So I wanted to say hi and good morning and cover Common Keto Question episode 4. For those of you that are new to me, my name is Cindy. I'm a registered nurse times 39 years, and I've been following the ketogenic or low carb, high fat, or some people are now calling it low carb, healthy fat way of eating for about 15 months, lost almost 70 pounds. My family's lost over 500 pounds, and you can follow each of them on different Facebook pages almost. We all have our, my daughter Rachel D has racheldee.com, and that's RACHAELDEE.com, or same Facebook page. My brother Steve, who's also a registered nurse, is Keto Kaleidoscope, and we just love sharing our journey with you. So, medical disclaimer, I'm not a doctor, I am a nurse. I'm not here to diagnose, treat, or cure. These are my opinions and my journey and what I've learned from research. And today we're going to talk about why do I have, and fill in the blank, and maybe more than one, cramps, fatigue, palpitations, I'm lightheaded, I'm having brain fog, I have no energy. Why am I having that since I've started low carb, high fat? Well, is it the dreaded keto flu? So I hope you guys can hear me. Give me some thumbs up if you guys can hear me, because I'm in a not a grocery store. I am in a store here in the airport in Dallas. So I wanted to try to get to you before I have to board my plane. So let's talk about what that is. It is not flu like you and I can catch the flu from someone else. It's not what you have, it's what you don't have. And what you probably don't have is enough electrolytes. The three most common people or villains that have dropped in our bodies when we start restricting our carbohydrate intake, because when we take in carbohydrates, remember that insulin has to come out of our pancreas, and when insulin comes out of our pancreas, it actually stores those calories, and in the presence of insulin we retain more water. We are water retainers when in the presence of a lot of insulin. So the more carbohydrates you've eaten over the years, the higher your insulin level has been as a result of that. When you drop your carbohydrates, insulin gets to take a little vacation. And when it isn't present in the bloodstream at high levels, then what the body does is it starts saying, wow, I don't need to hold on to all of this water. I'm going to flush it out. So you start going to the bathroom a lot, urinating a lot. And because of that, you lose a lot of sodium. Now, what is sodium? Let me see, I've got my little props here because I'm in a little delicatessen type thing. This is salt. Sorry, it's backwards. You're losing a lot of salt. All right, and because you're losing salt, we have this thing, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep the microphone close. I know you don't want to see me that close up front, but the reason you're losing sodium is because you've dropped your insulin requirements, which is a good thing. And because you've dropped your insulin requirements, this leaves via the kidneys. And we have this thing inside of every cell that helps keep nutrients and things healthy, and that's called our sodium-potassium pump. And as we lose sodium, the potassium chases it, if you will. It follows it because it wants to have balance on both sides of the cell wall. So as we lose sodium, we lose potassium. And then magnesium is oftentimes also deficient. So those are our three culprits that give you those feelings of fatigue, lightheadedness, a headache. My poor daughter Lauren Getman, when she first started this, didn't tell me, but she had a headache for almost 2 weeks. And I said, sweetheart, let me tell you what I've learned. Because I listened to really great lecturers. Called one that's my favorite is Dr. Eric Westman out of Duke University, Westman, Westman. And I always travel with this. What is this? This is a bouillon cube. And bouillon cubes mixed with hot water in an airport are a nice way for me to supplement my sodium. I've even started learning, I read The Salt Fix by Dr. James D. Nicolantonio. Salt has been vilified as much as fat has. And we need sodium, and we need actually probably what Dr. Eric Westman says is 5 to 6 grams per day. And Dr. D. Nicolantonio supports that with research in his book called The Salt Fix. Even if you're not on a low carbohydrate diet, you probably need it. So when we lose sodium, potassium follows. When I told my daughter Lauren, I said, sweetheart, do you have any bouillon? Now, is bouillon the best choice because of the maltodextrin some of them have and a couple of carbs? Of course not. But if that's what you need at that point in time, if you can't make yourself do a salt fix, which I do now almost every morning, I'll take a little bit of pink Himalayan sea salt and I will put it in some water and a little jigger, and I'll chunk that back, and it really gives you a sense of alertness and preparedness. But your fatigue, your palpitations, your lightheadedness, your headaches are almost assuredly lack of sodium, because when I don't have enough sodium, what's going to happen is I'm going to have a low blood volume. What does that mean? I don't have enough circulating volume. It's not that I've lost blood, but the plasma that my red blood cells float in, think of it a stream with logs floating down. When the stream is dry, the logs can't float. When I don't have enough blood volume because I've lost enough fluid, then I'm not going to have a good blood pressure. I'll be lightheaded when I stand up. I'm going to have a headache because I'm not getting enough perfusion to my brain. So far, it's just, you're getting enough oxygen, but you're just not getting enough blood volume. So I said to her, Lauren, go grab some bouillon, heat up some water and drink it. And if you need a second cup, have a second cup. And I don't know if you're on, Lauren, but within just 20 minutes or so, for the first time in 2 weeks, she was headache free. So she'd been taking tons of, not tons, but Tylenol and Excedrin and things like that. But her blood volume was low. So most assuredly, if you can rapidly get some salt in your body, you might need to take a magnesium supplement. It helps with your bowel movements as well. Magnesium is a known constipation reliever. If you've ever heard the old commercials, Milk of Magnesium, Mother's Friend, Milk of Mag, that's magnesium. So taking magnesium, if you're having the leg cramps, it might be a potassium and magnesium. There's lots of foods that are rich in those on this, dark green leafy vegetables. But if you can get some sodium in your body, I'm going to take a sip of my coffee because it's getting cold and I paid a bunch of money for this because I'm at an airport. I don't usually pay for high expensive coffee, but those are the reasons that you're most probably, almost assuredly low in those. So unless you have an extremely severe case of hypertension, I mean extremely salt sensitive hypertension, check with your doctor, but you're going to need to salt your food more, and you're going to need to salt your food on an ongoing basis, because as your insulin level is low, then you are going to need higher levels of salt to retain enough fluid. I see a lot of messages coming in. I'm trying to find my my glasses so I can read, because now that I'm 60, I don't see things as well as I used to. So let's see. Oh, hi from West Virginia. Hi, Julie. How are you? And Tammy, good morning. Oh, and my brother Steve's on, Steve Davis. He's got Keto Kaleidoscope. Go there. I'm going to be a grandma. Yes, Heather, I am going to be a grandma. My daughter Rachel D and her husband Justin are pregnant, and we are so excited. She's 13 weeks along. So hi from Tennessee. You have cramps in your legs and feet at night. So Peggy, please grab some sodium. Get yourself, you can get magnesium supplements as well. It's not just potassium that causes our leg cramps. Oftentimes it's our low blood volume, so that's the salt. Taking in more salt will help you retain the sodium, and you can buy magnesium supplements anywhere. And just start to supplement and make sure that you, I find sometimes when I was having a pretty bad, if I went to sleep with my feet warm, to keep the blood flow going there, it would help quite a bit. So that's great. Oh, Linda, you've had the runs for more than a month, had bouillon and it stopped. That's interesting. I'm glad that it stopped. Those of you that do tend to have diarrhea on this low carb, high fat diet might find that it's because if you don't have a gallbladder, you've got gallbladder issues, that the fat just sort of greases the skids, if you will. So sometimes you need to grab an over-the-counter supplement that has digestive enzymes in it. You can buy just ox bile salts, or you can buy something that has lipase, L-I-P-A-S-E in it. I'm glad the bouillon helped. Bouillon is our friend, or you can just put salt in your water. So Soleil water, Michelle, yes, that's where you take salt and you make a brine and you drink the water every day. Randa kicks back pink Himalayan sea salt with a glass of water. Yes, it does help the salt. The salt helps the cells hold on to the water and keeps you hydrated. That is correct, Randa. Very good. Linda, you use Plexus. I have no idea what that is, but if it works for you, that's great. Yes, Michelle, the magnesium helped with your nightly cramps. It is, yes, and Denise, you're asking sea salt for cramps. Yes, because it helps you hold on to the potassium, and because of that sodium-potassium pump that we have in our cells. So if I increase my salt by default, I'll retain more sodium. And then the sea salts, the old Celtic or Himalayan sea salts, are going to have more micronutrients in them as well, such as potassium and magnesium. And Dr. James D. Nicolantonio, on his Facebook page, I think it's called The Salt Fix, after his book, talks about the different salts and what they have in the different types of supplements. So yes, thanks Wendy for the congrats on the grandbaby, and thanks Linda and Randa. Chris, you had blood work to check your sodium because you have severe leg cramps when I'm walking or standing. The test came back in normal range, so I'm confused. If they just checked your sodium, I hope they checked your potassium and your magnesium as well. And even though they're normal, what is normal blood work? Normal blood work for potassium is typically 3.5 to 5. So if you were down in the 3.7 or even 4, you have plenty of room to move up. So it might be that what you're doing right now with low blood volume, you need to drink more, take in some more sodium, get your blood volume up so you've got more circulating stuff, hold on to your potassium. But I wouldn't be afraid if you look at what's normal. If you're at the low end of normal, you may need to be somewhere around 4.2 in your potassium, things like that. So if you can handle it, pickle juice. Yes, pickle juice is really interesting. There actually, people will buy jars of pickles, dill pickles, please not sweet pickle juice. That would be bad. And what you can do is you can drink the pickle juice. And there's actually, I just found these little tiny things above the pickles called pickle juice. And it's just pickle juice without pickles. I'm on the road, or I would take a picture of it. It's pretty hilarious. So I have pickle juice in my house now. Haven't drunk it yet. How much bouillon per day? Dizzy when I stand up. Corey, it doesn't have to be bouillon. You can have a couple of cups a day. Dr. Stephen Phinney, Phinney, he and Dr. Jeffrey Volek have written a book called The Art and Science of Low Carb Eating, and he has 2 bouillon cubes a day personally. So I don't know if that's going to be enough for you, but I'll do my salt shot in the morning, and I've got some coffee now, but then I'm going to have some bouillon on the plane to Charlotte. So that's going to be my plan there. And so the dizziness, I can also almost guarantee you, Corey, is your volume is low for your blood. So drink more of fluid in your bloodstream. So drink more with salt. Just drinking more water is going to actually dilute your sodium. It's going to cause you to urinate more, and you must add more salt in, according to a lot of the researchers that I've been. Drinking kombucha, is that okay? You know, Linda, that's a great question. Those 7 carbs and 4 sugars. So first off, a carbohydrate, if it says 7 carbs and 4 sugars, you still have to count the 7 carbs, unless part of that is a sugar, alcohol, or a fiber. So the 7 carbs would be what you would count out of your 20 net if you're doing 20 net. If you choose to spend that, because it's a fermented drink, it does have some benefits to your gut health, but you're just going to want to be careful that you don't spend all of your carbs on something like that. And it's not a bad drink. Kombucha has a lot of health benefits that it confers to us. So you get really sleepy during the day. How do I get more energy? Christy, that's a great question. And Christy, I'll get to you in a minute. Carrie Wilson, starting on Monday, feel so lost. Favorite resource. One of my favorite places to go is dietdoctor.com. It's funded by, there's a lot of free stuff. There's plenty of free stuff to get started. Meal plans, recipes, guidance. And they have no fee for the majority of it. If you want to pay $10 a month, you can get into sort of their inner circle. They don't have any ads. They don't sell any products. It's just a guy from Sweden that started this. He's been blogging over in Sweden for about 8 or 9 years about this. So it's great. Dietdoctor.com is a great place to go to start. Or rule.me.com is another good place. Sleepy during the day, Christy. That's a good question. You're probably, if you're new to keto, it could be that you are just not fat adapted yet, which means that you're burning your fat as fuel. As you release fat from your storage, then ketones are released. They're produced in the liver, and that's going to give you that mental clarity. If you're sleepy in the afternoons after a meal, okay, what happens is when we digest food, our body is going to shunt blood away from our brain to the gut to help digest the food. It's not that you have no blood flow to the brain, you're going to have it decreased, and a lot of people will feel sleepy. It's called the 2-hour postprandial slump. So somewhere between 30 minutes and 2 hours after lunch, you'll feel a slump. You might want to try a smaller lunch. You might want to look at what you're eating before you get sleepy, because if you're having more than 5 grams of carbohydrates at that meal, Our Dr. Westman says that our body carries about 5 grams of sugar in the blood. Anything above that's going to cause an insulin spike, and then that's going to cause us to have a reaction of the low blood sugar, and it might be a low blood sugar. So it might be, even though you're maybe having 7 or 8 or 10 carbs at your meal, that might be too much if you're trying to avoid that. So Sandra Fisher, Cindy, please say again how much sodium recommended. You live in Charlotte area. Oh my gosh, yay! Yeah, I did bring a sweater. It's sweater weather. It's sweater weather. Rachel, how do you say that? Rachel needs to post that video about sweater weather. It's sweater weather. So that's from Saturday Night Live, if any of you guys remember that. But what Dr. Eric Westman and Stephen Finney and others say is typically don't be afraid of 4 to 5 grams a day. Dr. James D. Nicolantonio says, and I'm so glad I can actually say his name now. I'll post the book and the link to his site in this. He says that before refrigeration, it was not uncommon for us to consume 100 grams of sodium a day because we salted our food. That's how we cured it. So try increasing it until your symptoms disappear. Disclaimer, unless you're severely, severely hypertensive and very, very sensitive to salt, then talk to your doctor about it. Linda, you have fatty liver, non-alcoholic, hoping this will help. That's actually going to be my next common keto question, is non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. It's called NAFLD, and it is actually about 30 to 40% of the U.S. population has it. It goes up to about 60 to 70% if you're obese, and 80 to 90% of us have it if we're type 2 diabetic, which I'm not, thank goodness. But my A1Cs were creeping up. So they're perfectly normal now, and my fasting insulin's very low, which is great. So yes, it can help because what you're going to be doing is eating whole foods. You're not going to be eating a lot of processed things with a lot of carbs. And when you lower your carbohydrate intake, think of it as almost you're fasting from carbohydrates for a period of time. Your liver is going to be able to empty out those fat stores and use them for energy. So I'll do a whole video on that, but Google that. Google NAFLD, N-A-F-L-D, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And it can actually lead to cirrhosis, and it's the actual leading cause of liver transplants in the U.S. today. Because when we overconsume carbs, a lot of bad downstream things happen, so you should be fine. So guys, I'm going to have to go jump on my flight here and get in line. Trudy, last question I'll take, and then I'll come back afterwards. Can you do this diet without using the supplements? Trudy, if you're talking about supplementing with sodium and potassium and magnesium, I think you're going to have to add the salt to your food. I don't think you have to buy a special salt particularly, although Celtic sea salt and King Himalayan sea salt have more of the micronutrients. If you eat a lot of green leafy vegetables, if you eat a lot of really good whole foods, especially organic, if you can afford it, you're probably okay. I don't know, I can't even say you're probably okay. Listen to your body. If you start getting leg cramps, lightheadedness, dizziness, feeling of lethargy, you're just tired, then you may want to add them. But they're really not very expensive if you go to get a good quality one. I like the Now brand, the NOW brand. There's other good brands I'm sure there's out there that are out there that you can use. So yes, you're welcome, Michelle. It's a pleasure to be with you, and thanks, Christy and Tia. What's the best way to increase potassium? I've read potassium can be too low. I would Google potassium-rich foods. All right, I'd Google that. Now you can, in a natural food store or a health food store, you can still buy potassium over the counter. Be a little careful with potassium if you have some cardiac issues, because too much can cause some arrhythmias, which means irregular heartbeats. But because we know we're losing potassium, you may want to supplement minimally. Look at the good potassium-rich foods. Kale, I think spinach, different things like that. I think avocados have potassium. We're not going to do bananas. There's plenty of other ways to get potassium without bananas. But if you salt your food and or drink bouillon, you are going to find that you'll retain more sodium naturally. So that's it for Common Keto question number 4. I sure hope you're sharing this with your friends. I sure hope you are liking and following my page. I'm going to have my web page is going to be up really soon. Rachel's helping me finish that up. And I will be telling you guys where I'm doing my first public speaking engagement on the ketogenic lifestyle and my family's history. It's coming up soon, but I don't have the rights to tell you yet. But that's going to be coming up soon. So if you live in Kansas City, I hope you come see me. I'll let you know more when the organizer announces it. So thanks you guys so much for joining me today, and take care. Keto on, my friends. Bye.